Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to another video. So this is my official Comic-Con Season 11 video. We have a lot to talk about. There was a lot of teases for Season 11 especially. So before we jump into this, obviously I do have to warn you for spoilers for The Walking Dead Season 10. And I guess kind of spoilers for Season 11 if you like to watch the show or each season without any knowledge of just anything, even like trailers or anything, then this video will contain, I guess, spoilers in that sense. But I also do want to mention that this has been very exciting. Comic-Con this year was definitely a lot of fun, and I really can't wait until the Season 10 finale. It's coming out October 4th, which is in 72 days, which will fly by. That it always does fly by. Like, this is basically almost equal to the mid-season break, if you think about it like that. It's actually a little bit less than that by like maybe 2 weeks or something like that, because usually like mid-season breaks are like 2.5 months to 3 months away. And it's like, what, 72 days is almost 2.5 months, but not quite, like about 2 months and 10, 11 days or something like that. So it's a little bit less. We're also going to be getting some more footage by then. We're going to have a lot of new shows, which I also do want to mention, and I'll talk about this more in my Fear and World Beyond videos and stuff, but The Walking Dead Season 10 finale is going to be airing on October 4th, the same night as The Walking Dead Season 10 World Beyond. And then the following Sunday, which will be October 11th, obviously The Walking Dead World Beyond is still going to be airing. That will be episode 2. But starting from that point on, Fear the Walking Dead is going to continue with their episodes from that point on. So it'll go on for however many they have filmed anyways and have finished editing. And then I'm sure The Walking Dead, or World Beyond, sorry, will just end at some point. I don't know if it's going to end 10 weeks from October 4th. I don't know how they're going to be releasing it because there's 10 episodes for World Beyond, which I also should mention they have finished filming that entirely and also editing everything. All of Season 1 of World Beyond is completely done. They can just release it whenever now. So that's what they're doing. So 10 weeks from October 4th will probably bring you to at some point in Christmas. They could go all the way until Christmas, but they might maybe take like a mid-season break or something, air some episodes the year after. I really have no idea what they have planned. I'm sure that stuff we'll find out in the next month or two. So one thing that I did mention in a previous video is that the actor who is supposed to play Herschel, which is Maggie's son, has not been cast yet. So I'm not exactly sure when he's going to be cast. I'm sure at some point in the next year, because that actor is going to be a big part of Season 11. And I'm sure he'll probably play a role as much as Judith would. She is a big part of the series, but she's not in a lot of episodes just because she's a kid, right? You know, and kids don't really work well with The Walking Dead, I would say. I mean, actually, with Judith, she works really well, I would say. But a lot of fans don't like kids on the show because they always make stupid decisions. Although Judith hasn't really. She's like the one exception to that rule, but most kids always have. We'll see where Herschel fits in with that, right? So I can't wait to see who they're going to cast as Herschel. That's going to be exciting because he has been on The Walking Dead, if you guys remember. In Season 9, Maggie did have the baby. Like, we saw little baby Herschel. So obviously it's been some time. Herschel is probably going to be around 8 or 9, around there, 7, 8, 9, probably 8, like 8 years old, I would say for sure. I don't know, around there, because Judith is like 10, and I think this kid's like 2 years younger, so whatever, you can do the math. This kid will have dialogue, this kid will be able to actually have some scenes, and hopefully they find someone who's a really great actor. And, you know, because the thing about Kaylee Fleming is that she is a great actress, right? She really does a really great job on The Walking Dead. So if they can hire someone like Herschel, or someone like her anyways, to do the role of Herschel, then yeah, that would be just awesome, obviously. And they also talked about Negan and Herschel, and I mentioned this also in the video. I promise there's more stuff that are related to Season 11, but I just want to get this out of the way. They talked about what that's going to be like, so I imagine that is going to be a storyline in Season 11. And so that's kind of the thing with Season 11, it's really hard to visualize because we don't know what's going to happen in a finale, so we don't know where certain characters are, if certain characters are alive or dead or missing, or you know what I mean, if there's a cliffhanger on certain things. So the things that we do know is that Negan and Herschel, they are going to explore that relationship in Season 11. Negan and Maggie are going to have some pretty interesting confrontations in Season 11, and I think some characters are definitely going to try and stick up for Negan, like maybe Carol, obviously. And so that might cause a lot of, I guess, feuding, a lot of fights and stuff like that. So I really can't wait to see what's going to happen there. That's definitely a very exciting part to all of it. And one thing that they also did mention is that, and Kirkman mentioned this, is that Daryl and Carol are going to have some very amazing stuff in Season 11. So those are obviously, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. But the way Kirkman said it was like he already knows what's happening with Daryl and Carol in season 11. He knows things that are going to happen. And so they have some pretty amazing stuff coming up in that season, which I am definitely excited for. I really can't wait to see what they're going to do with Daryl and Carol. I mean, for one, Connie and her survival, what happens there? For some reason, I feel like they're not going to address it in the finale. I think that's going to be something we have to wait until season 11 for. I don't know. I just have that feeling because she's not featured at any of the teasers. They're never bringing her up. I think she's missing and she'll be gone until season 11. She may come back in some form or something. I'm really praying it's not like a Heath situation, because if you remember, Heath in season 7 went missing when he was on that trip with Tara, and then it was explained like years later in season 9, I think, actually, or season 9 or season 10. It was somewhere around there. They finally explained that he went with, where Rick was taken away with the CRM. Jadis traded Heath to the CRM, and yeah, they explained it years later. I hope it's not that type of situation with Connie where like in season 12 or something, 13 or whatever, we learn that, oh, she went to this place or this thing happened to her kind of thing. But I imagine she will make a return in season 11, and I think that's where some of the interesting stuff is going to happen between Daryl and Carol. But Kirkman also talked about the Commonwealth and that they will be a part of season 11, and that some things have changed. Storylines from the Commonwealth arc have changed because Rick, Michonne, Carl, they're gone, right? They're not a part of the show anymore. So how does that change the series? Obviously, someone has to be in Rick's position and all of that. For those that don't know, in the comic, just to sum up, I guess, Rick, Michonne, and Carl's storyline, because they were alive at this point in the comic, Rick was basically, he was trying to join the Commonwealth, but he also wanted to keep part of Alexandria. He knew the Commonwealth had a lot to offer, but he also didn't want to join them and just live like the old world. He wanted everyone to kind of be able to live equally and happily. And so he was basically like what I would assume Daryl would be like in this position. I think Daryl is just going to hate the idea of the Commonwealth, because the Commonwealth believe that what you were in the pre-apocalyptic world is what you are now. And so they're going to give you a job, a type of lifestyle based off of that. And so I can see Daryl having a huge issue with that, because obviously before the apocalypse, he was really nothing. And I think it's not just that. I don't think he's going to be completely selfish with it, but I think other characters as well are going to have big issues with that. Because Daryl, I'm sure, obviously has views on the way the world used to be, and I'm sure in some sense he's thankful for the way the world is right now, even though he's lost a lot of people, but he's able to operate so much better in this world that going back to that, he's going to have a lot of issues with. So I think that's going to be really interesting and pretty entertaining for Daryl in general, if they do this anyways, to see what it's going to be like, because I keep picturing Daryl from season 1 going back into the old world and the pre-apocalyptic world and how that would be like. And then Michonne, well, I mean, she became a judge. Obviously, she got and she got the lifestyle that goes with that. So she was, she was pretty well off, and she was okay with everything. She wanted to join the Commonwealth. So could that be Carol? I don't really think so, to be honest. That could be Maggie, though. Or that could be Yumiko if Yumiko takes that, because Yumiko's kind of in a similar job position anyways, or she was anyways. And then Carl didn't really do much there. Carl was just kind of everywhere. He was helping rebuild the hilltop. He went to go see his father at the Commonwealth. He more had an arc, I guess, in the final issue or two. So as for Daryl, Maggie, and Carol, how they're going to fit and all that I really don't know. But I feel like Maggie for sure is going to be someone who wants to join the Commonwealth, and Daryl's not going to. And so that's why Daryl and Maggie are probably going to clash next season. And so, yeah, I think that's why Kirkman is saying that Daryl and Carol, Maggie and all of them, they're going to have some pretty big storylines, because I think a lot of stuff is changing. And I think it's even possible that Carol is going to be taking a lot of Carl's storyline. And I guess this will contain spoilers for the Walking Dead comics for like the final couple of issues. But if Ezekiel gets Rick's death, and Rick dies because he's playing all hero and stuff, he makes this amazing speech, and then later on he dies by the Commonwealth leader's son. He just gets shot in his room, and then he dies. And then they like create the statue or something of him. They could do that with Ezekiel, to be honest. Maybe they won't give him a statue or something like that. They could, but Ezekiel loves giving speeches. And so maybe Ezekiel actually gives this speech. He tries to unite the Commonwealth and Alexandria and the other communities, but later dies for it. And so Carol would take Carl's storyline in a sense that Carol would be very upset with it and want revenge and things like that. They can definitely do a lot of amazing things with that. I mean, the thing about season 11 is there's a lot of exciting things to do. If they do it like that, Like if Ezekiel takes Rick's storyline, at least part of it anyways, at the end, Ezekiel is the big death of that season at the very end. And then we see Carol's reaction with the Commonwealth and to, I guess, Pamela, she's the governor, and her son Sebastian. There's a lot of great things they can do there, which is why I just want them to film this season already. It feels like this season isn't going to come out for years. It just feels so far away. If they were filming it right now, I would just feel much better because I know these scenes are actually being filmed and that they could just release a teaser at any point, right? Which I also should mention, Angela Kang did say that season 11 is going to be filmed differently, or at least Chris Hardwick asked her that question, like, how are they going to manage season 11? Because the filming is obviously going to be very different. The scheduling is going to be so off because of everything going on. They are just handling it to the best of their abilities. They don't really know when they're going to start filming, or maybe they have an idea, but who knows where things are going to go with everything going on right now, right? Maybe they can film at some point this year. Maybe they can't. I mean, it's still July. Like maybe they could start filming in September or October. And if they did in September, they could get 3 months out, right? Like, because they always film to the end of November. They could do September, October, November pretty easily. So there is still some hope. They could still get to filming. Season 11 isn't coming out this year for sure. It'll come out next year. But if they can get 3 months done, like to give you some perspective, they always start filming at the beginning of May or like late April. It's usually the beginning of May anyways. The first week of May is when they start filming. Comic-Con is obviously the like mid-July to late July. So that's like 2.5 months of filming, and they always have a trailer out. So if they can film in October, or say September, October, November, that's the same amount of time, if not a little bit more time, right? They would have almost half the season done already at that point. Like, they could definitely put out a trailer at some point, say maybe at the end of this year, if they start filming in September, or maybe next year at some point during, I guess, the last 6 episodes of season 10. And then at some point in the spring or whatever, just resume filming. And then obviously The Walking Dead season 10, or season 11, sorry, would just air that fall. They probably do want to get back on schedule, so I think that is the plan. I do think season 11 it will be coming out in October 2021. And the awesome thing, I guess the benefit to waiting so long, is Angela Kang said that her and the writers are doing a lot of character work right now. So, you know, that means they're going a lot more in depth with all the characters, exploring all these different possibilities with all of them. And so I think that's definitely really great for the show, because The Walking Dead has always worked so well because of the characters. If the characters are done right, then the show is just that much more amazing, right? Because they explore all these different avenues of where this character can go. What does this character stand for? What does this character, I guess, believe in? It's kind of the same thing, you know? Because she and the other writers can do a lot more character work, I think it's going to make the season that much better, because they're really going to explore what, say, like Daryl. Who is this character at this point now? You know, he's been living in this world for 10 years now. Let's try, you know, explore this character a little bit more and say maybe they've been ignoring him a little bit in the last couple of seasons. I don't think they really have, but I'm just saying just in general, maybe they can start exploring that character a little bit more, doing more with him, and think of just other story possibilities in general. I mentioned this in a video a couple days ago, actually, or maybe it was yesterday. I don't even remember anymore, but I do think if they wanted to do a storyline in the future where Daryl had a baby, I think that could be amazing for the show, because he's someone that, like, everyone's wanted Daryl to have a love interest. I think Connie's the perfect person. And so I think if they can get to that point where, you know, they are in a relationship, and then eventually Connie does have a baby, say in season 12 or 13 or something, I think that would be amazing for Daryl as a character, because he's always, you know, taking care of Judith. You know, he always called her little ass kicker, and he's taking care of Carl beforehand and just a bunch of kids along the way. Imagine if he actually had a character of his own. I know some people are going to argue, well, that's kind of Daryl's role. He's kind of the cool uncle, I guess, you know, he watches over everybody. I just think if he actually had a kid of his own and they did that, that's something very different and would be pretty insane to do with the character. And I don't know where they would go with that. But I think imagine finding that out, watching the show, and that happens, right? That would be nuts. So this is everything that we learned about season 11. Again, there was just some information on, it really was mostly on Herschel, like baby Herschel. I guess not really baby anymore, but him, Negan, Maggie, Carol and Daryl, that was from Kirkman, and I guess some stuff from the Commonwealth and storylines that they're going to be doing. So yeah, I'm hyped for season 11. I can't wait to see when this season's going to come out, or hear about it anyways. So post all your thoughts down below on this season, and I'll see you guys in the next one.